Hello, dear students. Welcome once again to online video lectures. Today we'll start with new chapter. We'll take one new topic. The topic is United Nations. United Nations is an international organization which works to maintain international peace and order among all the countries which are the members of United Nations. Now let us find out why United Nations was established. So before the United Nations was established, there were two disastrous world wars which caused lot of destruction to life and property. Before United Nations was established, there was one more establishment which was made, that was League of Nations, which was established to maintain peace and order in the whole world, but it failed. The League of Nations was not capable of maintaining peace and disorder, and it resulted into the Second World War. It divided the world into two blocks. So all the countries, every person living in the country was under the fear of Third World War. And the Third World War was going to be more dreadful because use of atomic weapons and nuclear weapons were prevailing among the countries. All the countries became superpowers after doing their nuclear tests and atomic tests. So United Nations was established so that we can maintain peace and order in whole of the world, and we can live in peace and harmony. For this purpose, United Nations was established on 24th October 1945, and since then 24th October is celebrated as United Nations Day. The headquarters of United Nations is in New York, that is United States of America. As per the figures given in 2011, there were 193 member countries as a member of United Nations. India is already a member. India was one of the first 50 members during the formation of United Nations. So India is also one of the member of United Nations. So the more important thing which we have to keep in mind is the date when the United Nations was formed, that is 24th October 1945. Since then 24th October is celebrated as a United Nations Day. Let us find out what are the aims and objectives of the United Nations. The first is to maintain international peace and security. United Nations establishes peace and allows each and every country to maintain international peace. If there is any of the problem of issues between two countries regarding the border issues, regarding financial matters, regarding any of the matters, they can come and sit in the United Nations and talk to each other and find out a way which could be more friendlier and secure. Second thing is to develop friendly relations among all nations. So it is also the aim of United Nations to develop friendly relations among all nations, so that each and every nation join hands together and work for each other's development, so that development can be occurred or achieved for each and every nation. The third aim of United Nations is to achieve international cooperation in solving economical, political, social and cultural problems. There are many countries which have lots and lots of economical problems. India is also one of them, because India has problems like unemployment, corruption. These are coming under economical problems. India is also having political problems. None of the political parties is as capable to bring total development in our country. We have been got freedom in 1947, and since then nearly 75 years have been passed, but still we are developing nations and we have not developed. In India there are also social and cultural problems. Not only in India, there are many other nations in the whole world that has these type of political, social, economical and cultural problems, and they want to overcome. So it becomes the aim of United Nations to encourage them to find a way so that they can come and overcome all those type of problems. Fourth thing is to encourage respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. So, fundamental freedoms and human rights are also the objectives of United Nations. It encourages all the human beings to respect each other and live in harmony. Finally, harmonizing the actions of nations to achieve the common goals. As we know that all the countries are coming together to develop itself, so this becomes the common goal for each and every country to attain harmony and attain their common goal, which is development. There are some more objectives which are known as principles of United Nations. And what are those principles? Let us find it out. The first thing is United Nations shall not intervene in the internal affairs of any state. That is, United Nations will not interfere in any of the matters which are internal of any country. All the members should settle their international disputes peacefully. They should not go on for a war, or they should not involve in any type of illegal thoughts or actions. All the members should stay away from use of threat or force against any state. This is also the principle, and it looks upon the cases which comes into its consideration. It allows all the countries of its member to use a peaceful negotiation and live in peace and harmony. All members should give United Nations every assistance in action it takes. This also is a principle of United Nations which allows all the member countries of United Nations to give its concern in all over the action which is being taken by the United Nations. All the members should fulfill in good faith the obligation or the responsibilities assumed by them. It means that all the member nations should have faith in United Nations and should believe in the actions taken by the United Nations. They should respect the sovereign equality of all its members. It means that nobody should go and interfere in the borders of any of the countries. Next, we have the organs of United Nations. Totally there are 6 organs. The first 3 are the most important, and last 3 are equally important. The first one is the General Assembly, second one is the Security Council, third one is the International Court of Justice, fourth one is the Economic and Social Council, in short it is known as ECOSOC, fifth one is the Trusteeship Council, and the last one is the Secretariat. These are the 6 branches, or we can say the organs or committees of United Nations. They all have their own work. They sit together in United Nations and work for their own organs. Let us see one by one. The first one is General Assembly, which is the main organ or the decision making organ of the United Nations. Let us see the composition of General Assembly. All the members of United Nations are member of General Assembly. So each and every country who are the member of United Nations has to be present in the General Assembly, because all are the members of United Nations. Each state has 5 representatives. However, each state can give only 1 vote whenever it is required. So all the countries who are the members of United Nations can send at most 5 representatives from the country, but only 1 vote will be counted from 1 country. Third Tuesday of September every year is the regular session starts, which end in the 3rd week of December. As in our country also, there are 2 sessions in Parliament, the winter session and the summer session. In the same way, on the 3rd Tuesday of September, the session begins in United General Assembly, and which ends in the 3rd week of December. They will take necessary actions, they will plan for their future, and they will work for the development of each and every country. Fourth important point is elects 1 president, 21 vice presidents, and 6 chairmen for organs or committees of United Nations. So all those members, they will elect 1 president, and they will also elect 21 vice presidents and 6 chairmen for organs of the United Nations. Then let us discuss about the powers and functions of General Assembly. I'd like to remind you the General Assembly is the main organ of United Nations to discuss and make a recommendation about any question related to international peace. So General Assembly has the power to discuss about any of the recommendation which is made by the any of the countries, so that it can question relate to it and maintain international peace. It also has power to consider and approve budget of United Nations and decide the contributions among members. Third thing is to receive and consider reports from Security Council and other organs. These are the functions of General Assembly. They will consider and approve the budget of United Nations. They will consider the reports given by the Security Council. They will also make a recommendation for peaceful settlement of the disputes between any of the countries, and the power of choosing Secretary General on recommendation of the Security Council, and together elect judges of International Court of Justice and non-permanent members of other organs also. So these are the powers and functions of the General Assembly. Second important part is the Security Council, which is the executive body which maintains international peace and security. So totally there are 15 members, out of which 5 are permanent and remaining 10 are elected for 2 years. 5 members are China, France, Russia, Britain and USA, and totally 9 votes, including all 5 permanent member votes, are needed to take any decision. So totally, if for any recommendation total 9 votes are taken or it's coming in the favor, then the method of taking the step will be going on. If you don't want to give your vote, you can use your veto power. That is, a negative vote of permanent members is called a veto. China is the country which has used veto power for the most number of times. Second thing, the powers and function of Security Council. The main function is to maintain international peace and security and to take military actions against any aggressor. If any country is not maintaining peace and security, it becomes impossible for Security Council to use military actions and suppress that aggressor. It also has the power to investigate any dispute or situation that may lead to international friction. If the countries are having any disputes, Security Council will interfere and investigate the dispute and give its decision. It can also recommend method to adjust and solve such type of disputes, to recommend admissions of new members, and finally to recommend General Assembly appointment of Secretary General and together elect judges of International Court and Justice. So here also Security Council along with the General Assembly, they both together elect the judges of the International Court of Justice. Third thing is International Court of Justice. Now what is the composition of International Court of Justice? The International Court of Justice was made to settle the disputes legally or give legal advice whenever it was required. So International Court of Justice consists of 15 judges elected for a term of 9 years. The headquarters or the sitting is done in The Hague, which is in Netherlands. So the important point is not more than one judge from one nationality can be there for its own term. So 15 judges are elected for a term of 9 years and there should be one judge from one nation. So totally 15 judges from 15 nations are elected for totally period of 9 years. Judges are elected by General Assembly and Security Council and are independent. And also the election is held every 3 years, so that the judges want to retire or want to change their position can change their positions, take voluntary retirement, and fresh judges can be appointed in place of the old judges. Finally, we can see the powers and functions of the International Court of Justice. Only members can apply to appear before the court. So all those countries which are the members of United Nations, they only can appear and apply their problems before the International Court of Justice. Now, what are the sources of applicable law? Like in India, constitution is the source of applicable law. What are the sources of applicable law in the International Court of Justice? They are cases that are handled on the basis of international treaties, general principles of law and judicial decisions. So these sources are based upon the international treaties, means international delegations or the signature which are done between two countries for carrying out different type of problems or carrying out different types of business attachments and other things. There are also some judicial decisions which were taken previously. Those are also considered as the sources of applicable law. The third thing is voluntary jurisdiction. Court can help the states only if they bring the issue to the court. We all know that whenever the court is asked to bring the culprit in front of it, then only the court can decide whether the person which is standing in front of it is a culprit or is innocent. So unless and until we bring our matter in the concern of court, they cannot decide what the matter is and they cannot give their own decisions. So in the same way, court can help the countries which are the member of United Nations only if they raise their issue in front of the International Court of Justice, otherwise not. Now, what is compulsory jurisdiction? In case of a large number of treaties are broken, disputes regarding interpretation of international law in reparation, that is compensation. Whenever a member country breaks law in large number, the United Nations along with the International Court of Justice will force them to give compensation to the country which has breached laws. So these are the three important parts of United Nations. We will discuss about the other three parts, that is ECOSOC, Trusteeship Council and the Secretariat, in the next video. In this video you have studied about the origin of United Nations, you have studied about the aims and objective of the United Nations, principles of the United Nations, the 6 organs of the United Nations, and the working of General Assembly, the Security Council and International Court of Justice. So that's all for today. We'll meet again in the next video. Till then, keep learning and stay safe.